Hello, welcome to today's class. Today we would be covering the final 15 questions for the CBSE NET Geography Paper 2. We'll be starting with the first question here. Now most of the questions again are based on rote learning. So the first question asks about India has been divided into 13 planning regions, okay? And which of the following is the correct in this reference? Is the correct option in this reference, okay? Now, there has been various planning regions that have been demarcated by various authors and various geographers. So, Sen Gupta and Gallina gave 4 macro regions. Okay. Then Mishra Sundaram Prakash Rao gave 13 macro regions. Again, the Planning Commission of India also demarcated 13 macro regions under the TCPO, that is Town and Country Planning Organization. Okay, so the correct answer here is B. Now, this question, as we can see, is directly based on your rote learning. The next question again asks about which of the following geographers gave the following definition of the region. So, K. Young was the person who gave the definition. Region is a geographical area united culturally, unified at first economically, later by consensus through thought, education, and recreation, and this distinguishes it from other areas. So this definition of region was propounded by K. Young. It's again a direct question that was asked on regional geography. So as we can see, most of the questions here were very direct and based on learning. The next question is Irid Kund. Now, Irid Kund is one of the very famous books in geography, which was written in 1817 by Carl Ritter. Okay. So, what is important here is in geographical thought section, you must be very fluent with the writers, mainly in the medieval period. Okay, and the recent period. So that includes the writers from Greece, French writers, German writers. Okay, so these are some of the writers and their books that you must be very familiar with. The next question is a kind of question which is much more based on general knowledge. It asks about regional imbalances of economic development are affected by. Now, if I say there are two regions, region A, city A and city B, okay. If I say city A is developing much more as compared to city B, what can be the possible reasons? If I say there is equal distribution of resources, okay, then there is definitely a problem of resource utilization. So the region which is lesser resource utilization would definitely lag behind. Okay, so utilization of resource is an important parameter to govern the regional imbalances in economic development. Regional disparity in resources can be an answer, but regional disparity in resources definitely cannot lead to regional imbalances, because there can be areas which are deficient in resources, but if there is significant development. For example, the desert areas in some part of the world, okay, despite of the lack in resources there, Israel has developed a lot due to the technique of drip irrigation. So what they are doing is they are utilizing the resources optimally. Despite there is lack of resources, they are utilizing the existing resources and they have significantly developed economically. So the important thing here to note is the regional imbalances in economic development are not due to regional disparities in resources, but due to lesser resource utilization. So the correct answer here is B. Okay. The next question is again, as I said previously, you have to match the geographer and the book. So it's a direct question from the section on geographical thought. So anthropogeography was the book written by Ritzel. Okay. Then you have Humboldt, who wrote Cosmos. Okay. Then you have Geographica written by Strabo. And Nations and Nationalities written by Reckless. Okay, so this is again a direct question on the section on geographical thought. So geographical thought is a section where you need to Just revise and revise, and you can secure 100% if you are very sure with the if you have learned the authors very well. The next is Peer Panjal range lies in. Now Trans Himalaya is the topmost layer of the Himalayan range. Okay, it includes Zaskar, Karakoram, and Ladakh range. Okay, then you have Middle Himalayas, which are also known as Himachal or Lesser Himalayas, and these include Peer Panjal, you have Dhauladhar, Missouri range. Okay, so these are the ranges under Middle Himalayas. So the correct answer is for Peer Panjal is Middle Himalayas. Then you have Outer Himalayas, which are also known as Shivaliks. The next question is, you have to match the list of rivers and their tributaries. Now from the question only, it's very clear. You have Yamuna as a tributary of Ganga. Okay. Then you have Vegai river. The Amravati river joins the Vegai river. Okay. Then the next is, you have the Surali river, the Surali river, which joins the Vegai river. Then you have Amravati, which joins the Kaveri. And finally, you have Tista, which joins the Brahmaputra river. Okay, so these are the correct answers here. The next question here is, which of the following is the chief characteristics of polycentric city? Now, what are polycentric city? There are two types of cities, monocentric and polycentric. Monocentric is a city that develops around the center or a single downtown. Okay, so the city basically works around a single downtown region or a single center. While on the other hand, polycentric city, you have a lot of small townships that emerge nearby, and the city grows around each of these. So the correct answer here is, for polycentric, the chief characteristics is it has many downtowns as compared to a single downtown and monocentric city. Finally, you have the correct number of states under the Empowered Action Group states. So we call it EAG. Now these EAG were developed in India to curb on the growing population or the growth in population in the major 8 states of India. Okay, so these 8 states were identified in India, and the aim was to stabilize the population according to the 2001 census. So these 8 states were Bihar, Jharkhand, UP. So you have Bihar, Jharkhand, UP, Uttaranchal. Then you have Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Odisha. These were the 8 states that were identified under Empowered Action Group, and the aim was to curb or stabilize the population in these 8 regions. Okay, so as we can see, most of the questions in this section were very direct. Let's move on to the next set of questions here. Now, in this question, you have to find out the sequence of rainfall from low to high. Okay, so when we are talking about sequence of rainfall, if I draw a map here, okay, we can see the highest rainfall is along the coastal regions on the Western Ghats. Okay, so you have Sahyadris as the region with highest rainfall. The next highest rainfall is in the Ganga Delta region. Okay, so you have the Ganga Delta region. Then you have the region of Eastern UP. Okay, and finally you have the region of Northern Gujarat. So the correct answer is Sahyadris, Ganga Delta, Eastern UP, and Northern Gujarat. Now next question is, which of the following techniques involves a large number of variables that are to be summarized into small dimensions? So factor analysis is the only of these statistical techniques given that summarizes large number of variables into smaller dimensions. For example, if I'm doing a field survey and I have collected data on, say, the water availability in the region, the sanitation issues in the region, the facilities of fresh water availability, tube well water availability, and so on. So what I can do is I can club all these similar factors into one factor, that is water. Then I can create another factor, that is sanitation. Okay, so what I am trying to do is I am trying to club all those parameters which are related to one basic element, and I am trying to reduce the number of variables so that my calculation becomes easy and much more systematic. So that is done through factor analysis. The next question is, which of the following averages is not a measure of central tendency? So under measures of central tendency, we talk about three things, that is mean, median, and mode. Okay, so these three include the measures of central tendency. In mean, we include harmonic mean, then you have geometric mean, and finally you have arithmetic mean. Okay, so the correct answer here is harmonic, geometric, and arithmetic would be included as measures of central tendency. But the question asks which of the following is not a measure of central tendency. So the answer would be B, that is geographic mean center. Now the next question is based on the concept of remote sensing. So you have a list of satellites and you have to find out which satellite was really is sent by which of the countries. So you have IRS, that is sent by India. Then you have SPOT, that is sent by France. NVSat is sent by European Space Agency, we call it ESA, and ICNOS by USA. So that's the correct match. That's again a question that you need to know. Now the next question here is, you have to depict the distribution of urban land use types of a spatially spread urban centers. So for example, if I say this is my region and there are 5 cities. In these 4 or 5 cities, I have to find out the land use distribution. So I say 13%, 30% in agriculture, 60% in industry. Okay, then you have the remaining 10%, I should say. So you have 60% in industry and the remaining 10% in commercial activities. Okay, so this is how you use to draw the urban land use, and this is very easy to compare for all these 5 cities. So I can say in this city A, you have say 30% agriculture, here you have 25% agriculture, here you have 60% agriculture. So I can say this city is developed much more, is agriculturally rich as compared to other regions. So this can be done by means of pie diagram. Okay, so distribution of land use types can be explained among various cities by means of pie diagram. Under histogram, what we do is we try to plot the frequency curve. Okay, under bar graph, you can do individual values. Okay, you rarely do percentage. So you can say, okay, 30 acres under agriculture, 40 acres under industry, and it's hard to compare a bar graph. So if I have the raw values on the bar graph here for city A and city B, it would be much more difficult to compare as in contrast to a pie diagram. Okay, and the last question here is based on enlargement and reduction of maps. So it's a very important question. So in this case, what you are doing is you have a map or at a scale of 1:50,000 and you are enlarging it 5 times. So when you are enlarging it 5 times, the new ratio would be 1:10,000. So I can say 1 by 50,000 into 5. So that will give you 1:10,000. So the new enlarged map would have a scale of 1:10,000. Okay. So that would be the answer for the last question here. So with this, we complete the paper 2 in geography for the CBSE NET examination December 2014 paper. We would be covering the paper 3. Paper 3 would be covered in 5 classes. We would be taking 15 questions in every class. So stay tuned for that paper and have a good day ahead.